In the 1500s, the Swedes had created a large empire, but the continental empires were not the greatest anymore, for a new world was discovered in 1492, and soon the Swedish would set their sights on the Americas, but it would take another 100 years until the Swedish would begin their colonial conquest. The Swedish colonial empire starts with Peter Minute and the newly formed New Sweden Company. Minute had negotiated the trade of Manhattan Island from the native Indians on the island to the Dutch for like $24 back then or $1,000 today in 1624. Meanwhile, during this, the New Sweden Company was formed to get fur and tobacco from the New World. After hiring Minute, the Kalmar Nickel and the Fago Grip went to the New World with 25 colonists in 1637 and landed around modern-day Delaware. After landing, Minute arranged a trade with some local tribes for a huge swath of land, taking up parts of Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Soon a fort was made with the grand Swedish flag raised. But soon a war was coming, as the Dutch warned of an invasion, as they were now disputing territory. Now, Minute knew New Amsterdam and knew that how many soldiers they had, and knew that the Dutch could, even though ambitious, could not run the Swedish off their land, but a shadow would always loom over the colony. Soon the colony began to trade with the local Indians, but tragedy struck when Minute got stuck in a hurricane and the colony had to trade with British and natives to keep surviving. Soon a new colonial leader named Johann Prince in 1643 arrived. He quickly began to expand the colony with 2 more forts and reinforcing the old one. He also began to expand trading with the Indians and actually began growing food and began making tobacco for Sweden. Also, the population exploded from the mere 25 to over 200, bringing with it more Christians and started building the first log cabins that are now a part of American society but were once Swedish. But soon the population became a problem as no one was coming, which meant the Dutch, who said that New Sweden is Dutch, might just go there and do some aggressive settling. Sweden began to send convicts to the colonies, but no one else was coming. Now, if you were a good and strong colony that no one came to, you could do it like Jamestown and say, hey, you get a bunch of land for coming. But the Dutch were probably put down any expansion and finally invade. By the way, what were the Dutch doing right now? Oh, they're cutting the Swedes off from the Delaware River so they can't have beaver trades. Soon, with no beavers, the colonists left in high numbers, making the colony very underdefended. Soon the colonists that were left began to not like Prince, so he left in 1653, replaced with Colonizing, very confusing, with more colonists. Right when Rising came, he wanted to make peace in the colony's survival against the British and Dutch, the most important part of the colony. But right after saying that, he captured a Dutch fort built to keep tabs on the Swedes. The Dutch came back with 7 ships a year later and captured the Swedish fort. The Dutch fort turned Swedish fort, and after the surrender of Fort Christiania, the fort that began the settlement, New Sweden became New Netherlands. I'm not done with this script yet. Oh well, I'm just gonna talk about Delaware now. Okay, after conquering this land, the Dutch lost New Netherlands to the British. This would help begin the Second Anglo-Dutch Sea War, which the English lost. No surprise there. But instead of taking the land back from the British, they traded New Netherland, now New York, to the British for Suriname and Guyana, because the Dutch just love trading. Oh, by the way, the Dutch would recapture New York for like 12 seconds during the Third Anglo-Dutch Sea War, now with France and Sweden added. But soon the English realized they hated the French, and so an agreement of peace between the two, which included New York becoming British again. After this, Delaware became a part of Maryland until Pennsylvania wanted coastline and took over in 1681. Now that Delaware had been part of 5 separate entities, they were distinct and not from Pennsylvania. Now they were allowed some independence, with self-governing inside of a government which was a part of another government. After some colonies got rowdy and declared independence after the war was over, Delaware had enough of being part of another colony and declared to be a free and independent state, which is kind of weird because no other colony was officially a state yet, even though they were the entire name of the country. But anyway, Delaware was finally somewhat independent. I mean, the U.S. still exists, and it has laws, but now Delaware was finally returned to its old glory of New Sweden. That being, it was small, both in population and size, and is bullied by bigger states.